This is Susan Wilbanks with blendedinsight.com. I am a holistic and integrative healing arts practitioner, an intuitive, and an energy healer. In this podcast, I share tips, tools, and suggestions that have helped me along my path in hopes of inspiring and helping you along yours. Let's get started with today's podcast topic. Hello, bright soul. Thank you so much for joining me on another podcast. I hope you had a beautiful holiday for those of you who celebrate. I did. I'm super blessed. My cup was overflowing. And I'm so glad you're here. And on today's podcast, I'm just going to go right into it. I want to talk about Ascension. There's been so much talk about Ascension over the past 2 years. Well, before that, but even in the collective now, you start hearing people talk about Ascension. And so really all Ascension is a dramatic transformation. And when we are ascending, it occurs physically, emotionally, spiritually, and it brings with it a great shift where you notice that you're not thinking the same, eating the same, behaving the same. It is a dramatic shift because it occurs in all areas of life. And collectively, we have been going through an ascension process, whether people are dragging the whole way or conscious of it or not. And essentially it is a shift in frequency, a vibrational change, a shift in consciousness and expansion. And with that comes some uncomfortable things. And I had spoke about this in a previous podcast where when I was first learning energy healing and starting to do readings for people, tapping into my psychic gifts, which I've always had, but just accepting them and using them to help people, I experienced a quick ascension that left me physically sick. And it's really interesting because it can start to drive you nuts, which is why I wanted to talk about it, because you start to wonder, are you crazy? If you go to the doctor, I'd shared in that podcast, I was already on a holistic journey. So I had went to see a holistic doctor, a medical doctor, a neurologist, herbalist, naturopath, energy healer, chiropractor. I was doing everything. I even did something called the AIM program. I don't even know if they still do it, but they take these energetic trays, a picture of you. I didn't really understand it, but they take a picture of you and put you on these little trays that are supposed to align your frequency. I mean, I was desperate. I was desperate because all of a sudden I would feel so weak and the onset would just knock me down. I would have to lay down, and I was a single mom, and there's a couple times where it happened at work, but the onset would be so drastic that I would have to lay down. It happened in crowded environments, which I didn't understand at the time. So I would get nervous if we had to go into an auditorium and sit close to people. It happened in hospitals. Sometimes it would happen when I was driving, but what I know now is that it was the energy of other people that I couldn't manage because I had just ascended too quickly. And now these gifts are opening up, and I don't know anything about Reiki. Didn't teach shields. Reiki didn't teach cleaning. And I was doing readings for people too. And at that time I had all this mediumship stuff coming in that I don't do on purpose and I don't want to do it. But I didn't know. It was almost like as soon as I was open and willing, it all just started flooding in at once, and my physical body had to catch up. So for years, I was going to different healers and doctors and specialists and herbalists and cleanse and be a vegan. And oh my gosh, it was exhausting. And no one could ever find anything wrong with me, ever. No one could ever find anything. And so I know now that it was my ascension process. And it isn't that I intentionally climbed high. I didn't do it intentionally, but I tend to move quickly with everything. I tend to process quickly, and I didn't have the grounding then, and I wasn't studying with someone who knew anything about this because she didn't have those experiences that I had. Now that we are doing this collectively, I just wanted to share with you, if you are having physical symptoms, and it can come in so many ways. I shared also in a previous podcast about me getting the C ending with a D and losing my sense of smell and taste, which was the only thing that really alerted me to the fact that I might have had that. But honestly, that is also a symptom of ascension. It is a symptom of ascension to lose your smell, your taste, to no longer have an appetite. The things that you once ate, you may not want to eat anymore. Also, like flu-like symptoms that is also a complete and total common symptom. Fatigue, agitation, no longer being able to tolerate things you once were able to tolerate. I mean, one of the things with me, my body's not going to put up with alcohol. I mean, the last time I tried to have alcohol, and I'm not a big drinker anyway, but I'm not necessarily opposed to it. So if I'm out with a friend and they're having wine, which I can't do wine, I just cannot do it, or a mixed drink. I always tell people, well, I have a limit of about a tablespoon a year of alcohol, and that's not straight alcohol. I kid because for one, I don't really have a desire and I can't take it. So over the summer, I went to Santa Fe and I tried to get a sangria because it looked really good. I had 2 tiny little baby sips and that was it. I just couldn't do it. I started to feel weird. And I know that anytime you're drinking alcohol, and I know people don't want to believe that and they think they're evolved spiritually and it's not going to happen to them. And hey, if that's the case, go for it. Susan, as a clairvoyant and as an energy healer, I know that when you drink or smoke or drug, those entities that are attached to that are now pulled into your aura. And so if I'm ever going to drink, also I'm so careful about it. I'm going to bless the alcohol and shield myself. And I'm doing all these extra things just to consume, 1/4 of a teaspoon of alcohol. And then I feel like crap. So I'm not going to do it. I just can't do it. And so I know a lot of people they're still vibrating to where they can do those things. For Susan's body, I just can't do it. And so you might find things that you used to be able to do, you just can't do it anymore. And I know that's certainly been the case with me over the past 20 years. So know that there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that you are in the process of ascension. You're changing. You're being upgraded. You're adjusting to these vibrations. You're adjusting to this new energy. You might find that you can't tolerate certain people anymore. I was just having a conversation with a really good friend of mine the other day about the inability to tolerate shallow conversations for very long. I can't do it. I mean, honestly, I'm polite, but I'm at the place of having to choose where I put my energy so selectively that if someone just wants to sit across from me and talk about how they're gathering their wealth for personal gain or their career, and for me, I'm clairvoyant and I'm an energy healer, so I can see right to the core of it anyway. And I'm just so incredibly bored. I can barely keep my eyes open. I'm so bored. I just can't do it anymore. So I've pulled back a lot. I've pulled back a lot, focusing on those that I enjoy being around, giving my time to, supporting myself as we move through this ascension process. One of the things that I'll get with the ascension process, so I'll know if I did a really deep meditation and I was super connected and could feel all of the energy around me and moving through me, and I wake up the next day and I'm sore, or I wake up the next day and I feel a little achy, I know that I'm ascending. And so what do you do when you're not feeling well or you're trying to move through something? You take really good care of yourself. And one of the ways I'm doing that is by removing my energy from things that I'm just being polite, but it doesn't feed me, and putting my energy on things that do feed me and how I can support myself through this transition. So the ways that I do that is baths are really helpful, salt baths, Epsom salt baths. Meditation. I've been meditating more than ever before, connecting with my guides, getting my downloads, stretching your body, moving your body in gentle in ways that feel good to you, drinking lots of water, talking with people that I can actually share this stuff with without them going numb on me or thinking I'm crazy, because unfortunately there's not a lot of people on this path. And a lot of people are on the path of spiritual awakening, but they're not as into it or far down the path as you and I are. And that's perfectly fine. But if I started sharing things that I'm getting, it would probably freak them out and they'd think I'm crazy. And maybe I am. I'm okay with it either way, because that's the other thing that you'll notice during your ascension process. You just don't care that much anymore. You really don't. Not that you don't care in a sense of, I don't want to be here, I don't have any purpose, but what other people think and their path doesn't influence mine. So the opinions of people and what they think about you, it just doesn't penetrate anymore. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to send you on your path of healing, and I'm going to continue on this path because I have such certainty and such connection. My intuition is so strong. I know what's right for me. If it's not a heck yes, it is a no. And the clarity and the certainty that has come in has been unlike any other time. And it's okay that you end up having relationships that fall away because honestly, I get my power from the other dimensions. I don't get it from this physical plane. And so I know that I'm protected and loved and surrounded by my soul, my higher soul, my beings, my support system, my spiritual guidance. And I also trust that who I am supposed to be interacting with will show up for me. And that is another, I've always had it a little, but through this particular ascension process, it is so strong. It's stronger than it ever has been. And you may also be experiencing that. Also, you might notice that your sensitivity is really heightened. So you might have drastic energy shifts. And part of that's because you're becoming so calibrated that you're noticing when things are out of alignment with you. And we still have to live in the world. So, the way that I am operating and navigating this is I wake up early, I exercise, I meditate, I listen for my higher guidance for the day, and then I start my work day, and I'm super grateful for my work. I enjoy my work. I stay in gratitude, and I just focus on things that keep me centered and aligned. So I'm listening to high vibrational music. I'm listening to things that feed me, that keep me going, that keep me centered, that keep me aligned. And I just allow other people to do what they're going to do. I maintain my sovereignty. I give my energy to causes that feed me, that I'm passionate about. So I support agencies and charities that I feel like are aligned with me. So I spend my time and my money and I listen and all those things. So I'm essentially just weeding out the things that I'm just no longer willing to give energy to, and taking that time that I have, that I've given myself back, on feeding myself and helping myself through this transition. So energy healing is amazing. Meditation, I always bring up breath work. Breath work is always something really good to do if you feel like you're having something physically, but you're not sure what it means. Or you've tried to get a diagnosis, which that word is just charged, I know, but you're trying to get answers as to what's going on and you're coming up clean. You don't have any answers. Going within, using the breath to show you areas that you might need to work on, or if there's messages within your body, breathwork's a really good way to do that. Our bodies are just holding the energy, and sometimes a lot of energy comes in and it gets stuck in our body. That's the beauty of energy healing and all these practices that I share with you from week to week. One of the things I have been doing is using the violet laser as opposed to a violet flame, because the violet laser is more powerful, more succinct for me. So I've been calling that in my body when I have areas of dense energy that I feel are stuck. And sometimes I don't want to do a healing on myself. I get a healing every month. But in the meantime, if I'm feeling like there's some stuck energy in my body and I don't want to tune in and do a healing on myself, I will ask Saint Germain to come in with his violet laser and show me areas where I can breathe into that modality of him using the violet laser and release stuck energy. But that's something I do using the breath and meditation. So you got to find what works for you. But I just wanted to hop on and let you know that if you're feeling all of these things, you're not alone. A lot of us are feeling it. And the more you become aware and connected to yourself, you'll get information about where this is coming from, because maybe it's emotional. There's been times where I'm just going through my day and all of a sudden I just get hit with a wave of sadness and I think, I don't feel sad. What's that about? And sometimes it's someone else that's courting me because I have a public platform, so I'll cut cords, send it back. Sometimes it's just my own body processing things. And so instead of trying to resist it or reach out to someone else or, not feel it, I just allow it to pass through and work to take care of myself during this time. Because we're all going through it, there may not be practitioners readily available to help you, because guess what? They're also going through it. And that's the other thing that I've been focusing on, is empowering you with tools and things you can do on your own, so that when you're feeling it, just like everyone else is, including me, you know how to release it and work with it, because ultimately you have a soul, you have a guide, you have access to the same dimensions that all of us have access to. Yeah, we're at different levels. But if you just call in some help, some spiritual help, and then learn how to sit with yourself, connect with your intuition, your higher self, and trust the information that comes through, you will be completely unstoppable. And before we go into a healing, the other thing that you can do is when you are sitting quietly, and you can listen to music. I mean, a lot of times I'll turn on music, I'll just go into my breath, I'll sit quietly, or I have a meditation room, so I'll lay down in my meditation room and just sit quietly with the intention to connect. I was storing some energy in one of my legs. And so what I do is I will go in meditation and I will ask, if this part of my leg can talk, what it would say is, and I'm doing this privately and I'm listening, and I'm quietly, silently. So, if this cramp in my calf could talk, what it would say is, and I'll ask a couple of times and I'll get the message. And then I will just breathe into that area, and I'll breathe deeply and try to breathe down into that area. So I'm just making this up, like my calf. So I'll just breathe into that area. And then what I've started doing is asking Saint Germain to come in with his violet laser. And I'm asking him to break up any blocked energy or dense energy or any vibration that needs to be smoothed out. I'm just asking Saint Germain to come in and do those things. But you can ask whatever ascended master or guide. You don't even have to name it. A healing angel, a healing guide to come in and assist you, because we're not here alone, even though I know it feels like we can be in 3D world, especially when so many people have chosen to disconnect as opposed to connect spiritually. And that's why it's so important to build that spiritual army so that you know and you have confidence that you are walking. Yes, you're in the physical body, but you're walking among many. You have a spiritual army with you, beside you, and around you that you have access to at all times. So let's just go into a healing. And I will bring in Saint Germain for this healing. And I will just ask him to use his violet laser to break up any stuck, blocked, or stagnant energy within your energy body. So that can be physically, emotionally, even spiritually. And you can just breathe. And if you don't want to use the violet laser, you can just switch it for the violet flame. Or you don't even have to use Saint Germain. You can actually just relax and receive whatever healing angel or guide feels right for you. And I'm going to tune in and send energy at the same time. Okay, I'm running shields and closing the healing. Okay, and so it is. And it's always a good idea to drink some extra water after any energy healing. And I just want to wish you a beautiful week. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't left me a review on iTunes, please do so. I would really appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, you can do so over at blendedinsight.com on the front page. I sincerely appreciate you. Take care. Bye-bye.